If you're in charge of scripts, there's going to be a lot of parching.
Yeah, true, yeah. No, they just like me.
No.
What do you mean? They like me.
You sound like the guy from EA Sports.
Oh, really?
It's in the game.
I'm wearing a barbecue hat right now.
Fuck.
I don't know if you know.
No,
I know, yeah. What are you going to say? Yeah, we got you on both sides now. Go on, talk shit. Yeah, no, yeah.
I've always enjoyed barbecue. Hello and welcome back to That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch. I'm joined by Chris Stark and Statman Dave as usual, and a very special guest, Mr. Ted Lasso himself, Jason Sudeikis.
Hello. How are you?
All good?
It's like the first day of school. And we're like, yeah, how do you say it? I don't know. My dad says Sudeikis. I don't know if it is.
I thought it was Sudeikis.
That's how I've
Well,
always
that's what I said, isn't it?
Yeah,
We'll listen back. We'll listen back.
I mumbled it.
we maybe take that to VAR.
Okay.
It's too many syllables. It is.
Jason, there is so much excitement around this because it feels like the podcast has always been destined to do something with Ted Lasso.
Sure.
And some people listening know this, but we've always kept it quite secret because we didn't want to, until we had this moment, we thought we could record this thing and those who notice it will notice it.
Right.
Some people listening to this don't know that we're actually the real stars of Ted Lasso.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you've never watched it and you only listened to it. You guys showed up for us season 2 and season 3. Yeah. You guys are part of the impetus towards why Nate went to the dark side. Yeah. By listening to you guys give him props. Right?
Talk through the process. So we had a cameo on Ted Lasso. Firstly, explain our role on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I think it was just playing in the background, right? Mm-hmm. And we were told that we would be part of Ted Lasso, so we were very excited, fans of the show. So we set up record. So lots of felt like Hollywood producers involved.
Yeah, sure.
And told us to record, so we get our usual setup record, and then I think your guy just said to us, so just fire that over to us. We said, well, I just assumed you were recording it.
Which I think it would have been our job, because you were a guest at our thing that we were, it's so funny.
I just assumed we were a lot more professional than we were.
Yeah.
We spent an hour recording. I'm saying 8 lines.
Yeah.
It was such a brief script.
It was a real brief.
We spent the best part of an hour redoing bits and everything. We got to the end. Just assumed. It was on Zoom. We assumed someone was picking it up.
Yeah.
We're recording this, right?
We are.
I'm sorry.
If your guys
last time.
If not,
your guys are recording it, aren't they?
So you went to the match. You went to the match the other
last night.
Yeah.
We've been to 2 already. We went to we landed at 12:30. And Brendan Hunt, plays Coach Beard, co-creator, good pal. He was like, we got the FA Cup semifinal. Brighton and Man U. If we want to watch that, I go, where is it? At Wembley? He's like, yeah. I go, what time? 4:30. It's like, why don't we try to go? Then by the good grace of this Ted Lasso show, we were able to secure a few tickets and off we went. So we did that on Monday. It was Sunday night, right? So, and then we did we were at Arsenal at Etihad last night. It's most of the Man City match. We were at the Man City match. Yeah, two hats.
And you got to meet a few of the players and stuff. They treated you well.
Yeah, I brought my little boy Otis, who's been football nuts. It was crazy because he was immersed in it here, but then the second we got back to the States, he went back for school in August last year, and then started playing. It's called AYSO, is like the youth organization there. He got on his first team now, but ever since he got back, he is nonstop wanting to play FIFA, always has a ball on his feet, is watching YouTube videos, just 100 greatest goals, what's Messi's diet, and just absorbing the sport. So then and is just like a little stat guy. So him and Brendan have these great conversations.
What's his name, Jason?
Otis. Yeah.
Statman Otis.
Yeah,
Join in very much so.
Yeah. No, if you're looking for an intern, I don't want to make money.
A replacement, I think, is what we need.
Oh, sure.
Long term.
I don't know.
To the back a bit. I'm a bit boring.
Dave, don't do yourself down, Statman.
He doesn't listen great yet. He's not a great listener. So I don't know if we want him on a podcast quite yet. But he got to meet Grealish and Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin signed his kit that he was wearing, and Erling Haaland. He got to meet in his in his skivvies, which was great. They had the same hair, which was nice. A nice
Met
little
your
moment.
son in his pants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was post match. Yeah. But like it's a lot. We were in the locker room. It wasn't like outside. It wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
I just got visions of Haaland's an amazing player, right?
Yeah.
And you assume he sort of runs home himself. I just wasn't aware that he does it sort of like takes his kit off and just goes.
Yeah, he's just like, he's still got extra energy. He's like, that's it. We only had 5 minutes stoppage time. Yeah, I got some in the tank. Let me get out of here. Yeah.
Were you into football before the show?
A little bit because from the commercials when we did them in 2013, 2014 for NBC Sports showing the Premier League over there, got into it a little bit, and then started playing FIFA, which was how the whole thing even started back in 2000 when Brendan and I were working at a theater in Amsterdam called Boom Chicago. I had everybody chip in 20 guilders so I could buy a PlayStation for the green room so that we could play like Tony Hawk Pro Skater in between shows. And Brendan was like, hey, will you pick up FIFA? I was like, yeah, sure. And Brendan had just recently fallen in love with football, living with 5 Dutch fellas, during great Ajax years and fell in love with Arsenal, having read Fever Pitch, like all these classic sort of like little breadcrumbs that led him to this thing. And he would explain the game to me while we played because I loved playing, like a lot of, basketball games at that point, and when he was using, just like we do on the show and just like we did in the commercials, he would sort of explain to me the sport in a very, like baseline way, metaphorically, using American sports, mostly like 90s NBA. And I really took a liking to it then, but then I moved back and then went away from it. Commercials allowed us to dip back in. But then since writing the show and filming the show, it's become, basketball is my one true love sport wise, but it's definitely my number 2. And there's so many overlaps for me. I feel just the way my brain works trying to make sense of something I don't understand is like mapping it to basketball has been very, very helpful. It's just twice as many people and 5 times bigger. So to minimize it, but yeah, it's been great, and it's such a. The energy is fantastic, and that's why it's been so fun for Otis and my daughter Daisy as well. Like Daisy was like, "Hey, can I go too?" We were watching. How's it pronounced? The Cabanero Cup?
No one knows, mate. No one knows,
right?
I played in it. I don't know how to.
I haven't drank this stuff. I don't know how to pronounce it. But I remember her. She did this really funny thing where she's like, like I can like football too, Dad. I was like, absolutely. And I was like, of course you can sit and watch with us because it was a bunch of the guys from the show, and we're every during season 2, people would come over. We'd eat Nando's and then watch whatever matches were on. We're watching that cup this last year, during like the spring. And she goes into my office, grabs my little flat cap, puts on a scarf, and comes out. And I'm just like, hey, how are you? What are you doing, Daisy? I'm not Daisy. My name's George. She was like, George. And then lo and behold, we got to, we watched. She got to watch the women's English team win the Euro Cup, and she was all in on that. So it's great for her to see, get to enjoy the men's side of the game, but then also see such a kick-ass team.
So your whole family are in football.
They're in. And got my sister Lindsay and anyone that comes to stay with us, they end up, we hand them a PlayStation controller and put them on one button for FIFA. And within especially now that you get to play as Richmond, now that we're on 2023.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man.
That's incredible.
It truly I think the fellas on our fake team care more about that than us winning TV awards, like Emmys and stuff. When we got on that thing,
it's way better.
It's amazing.
That's dream stuff.
Yes,
like I understand
100%.
Awards, are important.
Yeah, yes,
but
to a degree.
11 Emmys important.
Yeah. That life changing, career changing, obviously. But man, oh man, like it's Christmas morning every time you fire that thing up.
Yeah. So who's your team? Have you kind of fallen in love with a English team?
I really love Arsenal, and I have because when I got into the sport, how could you not dig Man City? Yeah, I know how you can't, but as my FIFA team, that makes sense. That's what I get that. Or if you're like you don't believe, we should power things by oil. There's a bunch of reasons why you might not like Man City, but like I really took a shine to Pep. Once you get to know a little bit more about these people, I think it's like why we love like the X Factor or the Olympics, when you get to see people at home and you get to hear their stories and stuff, and they become human beings, not just athletes, and based on wins and losses and efforts and stats. It's like that's what got me really into it.
Is that why after the FA Cup final, Richmond 6-0 defeat, there was a blue moon for the entire episode?
Yeah.
It kind of was getting every time they looked at the moon. I was thinking,
yeah. I know.
Fair play, you got me.
Yeah, I know. It absolutely was. Yeah, it's just that we joke about, they talk about the great white whale, from Moby Dick, and it's like, no, there are great blue whale on the show. Yeah, Man City. And it really confuses Ted because he genuinely has, I think, almost like a guy crush on Pep. He just thinks he's the coolest guy around, and yet he just can't beat the son of a gun. He just, like most managers, I feel probably feel about the guy.
It's confusing talking to you because
thank you.
Because I feel like there's different levels to you. There's Jason.
Yep.
Bear with him.
It's going to come around. Okay.
There's Jason, the football fan,
Yes.
right?
Sure.
But then, bizarrely, when I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to a real football manager as well. And we have football managers on the podcast. We have big Premier League players on the podcast. Aaron Ramsdale, he's a big friend of our podcast here. And it's weird because you're not a sportsman and you're not a real football manager. But in the world of football, you kind of are. Does that feel strange?
It absolutely feels strange. And I mean, it's such a kick. I have friends back home in Kansas that one good buddy, the other Brendan in my life, who's a teacher and a coach. He taught math and he coached, boys and girls, basketball in high school. And I remember I was working in Las Vegas doing a sketch and improv theater out there called Second City at the Flamingo, and he came out for like a coaches summit, like a little convention where everybody came around. All these high school coaches would come in and they'd listen to college coaches and pro coaches give tips and whatnot. And I got to go with them to those things because we worked at night and these things would all be during the day. And I got such a kick out of walking around and having everybody, hey coach, how you doing, coach? and calling me coach. And now people come up to me and do that all the time. When we go to matches, they say coach more often than Ted. They're, hey coach. And I know they're talking to me because, they're not going to talk to anybody else like that. But and the fact that it's not calling me wanker, like we sort of set up both in the commercials and in the first season. I mean, that's high praise to the.
That's
the way
what
the
changed about my life. Peter's got everyone I go and DJ in places, and I have people holding up.
It's not entirely my fault.
Well, it is. I get, and it needs explaining, maybe Jason, but I get shimpad wanker. They write it on their phones and hold it up.
Sure.
Barbecue cunt.
Yep.
I get these things.
I don't know.
These are all pet names for
All
him?
from Peter.
I love him. So I give him. But he really enjoys barbecuing, but. The reason I called him a barbecue cunt in the first place is because he loves to do all this 24-hour kind of slow cooking. I know it's a big American thing as well, so
Especially
maybe I'm
Kansas
out
City. I'm wearing a barbecue hat right now.
Fuck.
I don't know if you know.
No, another one.
I know. Yeah. What are you gonna say? Yeah, we got you on both sides now. Go on, talk shit.
I've always enjoyed barbecuing. But he's just a cunt.
I think the fact that you're called coach and people respect you out of it. I had this bizarre situation in the pub recently where they were talking about this Chelsea team and floated the idea of perhaps you going and joining there. But I think this happens with you quite a lot. I think, weirdly, you seem like the answer to a lot of football clubs that are struggling with managers. I'm a Watford fan. Would you consider it?
I mean, if Elton John still owned the team, I absolutely would. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking a few years ago, and I'd be a lot younger, but I'd probably be a lot more flexible too. But I mean, it's nice. It's really. We are so flattered that the football community took us under its wing. When we did those commercials, we wouldn't have got to do the second one unless football folks enjoyed the first one, didn't think that we were taking the piss, or taking a piss. No, but And I remember, I forget, I don't know who it was. I can't remember who it was, but it was a British fella that we were at something, Brent and I, and he came up and he said that someone that just knocked us out. Where he goes, "You got everything wrong perfectly," and ever since then we've really tried to honor that world and not be parasitic towards it. But we put in little small jokes. We call them 2%ers that only the football fans would get, and a lot of that comes from Brendan's love of the game and just his wicked brain. So yeah,
you're a massive fan, Dave, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's
Ted Lasso obsessive.
The compassion, I think, is what rings to me so true in terms of how you deal with players, and that's kind of how we see Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola 100%. Deal with people at the moment. Yeah. And it is this next jump of football coaching, and it's crazy how you capture that.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, that reminds me so much of high school and college coaches because they know they only get them for a short amount of time, and certainly during my time playing, no one was getting paid. And I was never good enough to get paid even under the table or anything. But they care about the people, and especially college coaches, when you recruit players at a big school like Duke or North Carolina or where I'm from, Kansas University, not that I went there, but I'm from Kansas and I support them. They, when you get recruited by them, you go into their home, their childhood home, you meet the mom, you meet the dad, similar like like I haven't seen it yet, but like the way Dolores Jordan is such a big character in the Air movie, for her son, we want to sign with a sneaker company. What that there has to be a real humanity there, and because you have to look a mom in the eyes and go, "I'm gonna take care of your son."
is that like a reflection in your personal personality? Because it comes through in loads of moments. Forgiveness was a big thing in the series where you have loads of massive clash moments.
Yeah.
You versus Rebecca, Sam versus maybe the oil company, Dubai, where they've just become the bigger person. Roy Kent's niece in the sense where she's getting bullied, where you forgive people, which is incredible in the current space that we're in this world.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that in the writer's room, that good and evil exists in the world. How do you want to deal with it? How do you want to react to it? And good and evil exists within yourself. Which path do you want to take? I just knew for me, playing the character of Ted Lasso, I wanted to be kind-hearted to a point where people may even be, suspicious of it. I was just telling Otis this morning, I was opening a door for him, and or he held the elevator door for me. I was like, someone asked for a photo, and he walked ahead, and I go, thank you for holding that door. I go, when I first moved to New York to work on Saturday Night Live, I would hold the door open for folks, and they would kind of walk through very slowly, like, are you going to slam this on me? And we all have that metaphorically, within us, but especially depending on how many times we've had a door slammed on us. And so I wanted to do that, and I didn't want to swear. I didn't want to play anybody kind of bawdy, which I'd done a bunch in movies. And it sort of all trickled down from there, that notion of kindness and that like enthusiasm, but kindness being a superpower. Because good, big ups to like all the folks at Marvel and DC, but I don't know, man. Like, for my money, human beings, doing super things is pretty heroic as far as I'm concerned.
You know what? Being in football, like, my whole life, I left school at 16, I'm retired at 38, and all I've been in is inside football dressing rooms, right? And they are harsh places. And me growing up, I was always told that I was too nice, and like I had to be harsher. And in a football world, very seldom do you see. It's a very tough place to be. Yeah. And I think that's what's so good about the dressing room scenario for me. It felt like I know some of those characters in there. Yeah. And getting the football bit right was so important. And that's why I think it's become such a success.
Did it worry you that?
It didn't worry us so much as we wanted to do right by it. Again, like to go back to the commercial, like we want to dance with the one that brung us, as the old saying goes. And I cannot speak towards the importance of having someone, and specifically Brendan Hunt, and because myself, Brendan, Joe Kelly, we all had varying degrees of understanding of the sport, and then also appreciation for it, and yet all loved sports and all loved sports films growing up. And then when we ended up, having the good fortune to bring Bill Lawrence into the mix, also raised on these great sports films growing up, also a huge fan of sports. Not so much, football, but probably around my level. I think he played goalie in high school, if I remember correctly, or even younger than that. And we just wanted to have it be a metaphor for life, because if you know one thing really, really well, then you can probably explain anything through that one thing. And for years, for me, it was basketball. And so I've spent any of those archetypes that we have in there in the dressing room were like things that we'd all experienced. And it may not have always been in athletics. It may have been, in a movie trailer, or like at a Thanksgiving dinner. It might have someone in our family that reminds us of Roy Kent or Jamie Tart, or certainly the way Roy and Jamie interact with each other. It's like, oh boy, here goes Uncle Steve and Aunt Janet. They really they hate each other, but they actually are family. So it'll all work out. And we just kind of map those things to there. But we wanted everything to feel. I would always ask Brendan, like, what's the real? What's the verisimilitude is the word. Like, what's the real deal? And then I would just like kind of like we would all like twiddle the knobs, be like. So for example, like even a big one that people get hung up on is calling the dressing room a locker room. Calling the parking lot a car park. Like, that's a small example of us making sure that people back home in Kansas understand we know. And because I don't think you can feel happy. Or you could laugh or cry if your dominant emotion is confusion. And so we just wanted to make sure things made sense for the majority of the crowd. And then, then take off, unfortunately, some people that are, really big into the syntax and the vernacular that we're using.
Oh, come on, we're not great with names, are we?
Yeah, no, we're not.
Like exact
what? We had an American owner once at one specific club, and he came down and wasn't happy. And this is something that's been going on recently, like owners coming into the change room. Yep. But the moment he came down, and that was bad enough, really, the owner coming in. But then he came in straight away. The first sentence involved I don't like coming down to the locker room.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And he lost it straight away.
Ironically, he lost the locker room.
We were gone. He lost the locker room in the word locker room.
Yeah.
Do you get that with Ted Lasso? Is it like, in a weird kind of way, is the production in any way like a football team? Like, does someone come down from the top and you're in the locker room, ironically, like, and kind of start to make the changes, and you have to fight against that a bit? Or
100%. We absolutely had, folks come in and sort of say, like, wonder about, worry about the tone, worry about, the length of like the pilot episode, because we went and pitched the show to like a bunch of different streaming places, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, and Apple was the only one going, yeah, we'll give that a shot. And whenever we've had a concern, or if they've had a feeling about something, if you are able to articulate why you're making the choice you're making, they've 100% backed it. And being it, but it takes the gumption and the belief in what you're doing, as a show, as a team, to speak towards that and do it in a way that's not off-putting, because you want them to be excited about what you're doing. You don't want to, be like, what do you know, suit? Like that doesn't fly, and that's something I learned at Saturday Night Live, where my boss there, Lorne Michaels, if you went in and you fought for your sketch, he'd listen to you. You'd have to, and if anything, he'd listen to you more the next time. It's like when you holler at a ref about a call, that no ref has ever changed their mind, but it's always about that next one. It's like, well, maybe I'll keep an eye out.
I love that you're in our podcast world now. Ironically, I don't think there's been a big TV show about a podcast yet, has there?
It seems like
I'm just saying, there's an opportunity.
Yeah. No, it really is.
It's very easy to cast.
He's good, Chris. He's good.
And
he wants a role.
I know people are mostly listening here, but it's absolutely riveting what's going on. And, it's something you would definitely want to watch a TV show about. When they plug the mics in and setting up tripods.
It's very tense between everyone. It's high drama.
I remember we were talking about like the vocabulary, like when there are some people that feel like if you do sketch comedy, to call it a skit is dismissive. And then at some point, I feel like just like certain communities that have used have reclaimed racial slurs and taken them back and taken ownership of them. I proudly call comedy scenes skits. I'm not going to let that bother me anymore. I'm not going to judge.
I just love you here. I love you in this world. I know it sounds a bit parched, and there's some things that we need to explain. Referees on the show. Now, a referee heavily associated with this podcast is Mike Dean.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with his work?
Come on, of course. Mostly as an actor.
Yeah.
Mostly as an actor. He's our go-to ref.
I mean, this is the next show that needs pitching, isn't it? Some sort of
just following Mike Dean around. I want to know what's going on. I mean,
we interviewed him, and he slaughtered chickens before he was a referee.
Did you know?
Yeah. So we did the stats on it. I think it was 100,000 chickens a week he was slaughtering. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Just before he was a ref. His factory was killing 100,000 a week, wasn't it?
Yeah. However, he really wants to come on the podcast again soon. I think he'll be absolutely buzzing that you are a fan, can we say? Or?
Oh, yeah. So far, so good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, but I mean, of him or of the podcast?
Of Mike Dean.
Yes, but both.
Both.
But no, he's fantastic. I mean, and he does great. Like we always give him some zingers and whatnot, and he just, you wouldn't have to remind him to open his eyes or anything, or like, face this way, Mike.
He's born for show business. That man. I'll tell you what. Actually, I've told you a lie.
Born for show business. No one's ever said that about Mike Dean.
Jason, can we quickly play you a little bit of? We got a guy who listens to this podcast.
Yeah.
He wrote a song about Mike Dean.
Great. And
sent it.
What style? Like a folk song or
it's actually
hip-hop?
an incredible song.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
You got it?
It'd be great to get your take on this. So we made a video.
Oh my gosh! Look at you guys.
There he is. He did the video for us.
Absolutely born for show business. You know how hard it is to walk like that?
To the lights and the noise, the FA Cup final and European games. Oh, Mike never changed. Ref them all the same.
It's a good tune.
Oh, and where will we be without you on our TV screens?
Yeah.
The most card-friendly we've ever seen.
Give you a bit of the chorus and then.
Mike Dean.
Oh my God. Wow. I don't know what I was expecting that.
It's Mike Dean. Mike Dean.
Yeah.
The funniest ref we've ever seen. It's Mike Dean, Mike Dean.
Yeah, I mean, come on. This
The chicken killing machine.
I've got to play this song that Joel wrote for our
Fan
podcast.
Jason.
I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, the song's great. He absolutely is made for showbiz. That's his plan C. His third career, chicken killer, referee, just showbiz icon.
But Jason, next Crouch Fest, the dream would be to get you there somehow. Somehow.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
see how it plays.
Do I need to sing? Do I need to write a song?
No, just come on and have a
But
chat.
if I do, you would let me play.
No, you can do whatever you like.
Okay.
I mean, the dream would be you duetting with Mike Dean.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
dream, isn't it?
That's the dream.
What time of year do you do it?
To be honest, it's whenever we can get our act together.
I think you're learning how this works, Jason.
That's
Whenever we
not,
get the
I
act
love
together.
it.
Do you know what I was going to ask you about? You know when you went into Tottenham's training ground?
That was a giant ad campaign that NBC Sports had asked me to do. Now, I'd done a handful of movies at that point, but I'm by no means Will Ferrell status nor talent or height. And a lot of he's got me beat in a lot of ways. So nobody knew jack shit about me really, and so it wasn't like, oh, he's here, we'll give him access to everything. It's like, no, they were like, you can only do this, you can't stand on the pitch. A lot of it we filmed while actual practice was going on, but I couldn't interact with the players. This is right when
A lot of rules.
Which we honored all of them. They're all just, and there's rules in games, right? There's rules in sports, so we're just playing by those rules. But it was also, and this is something that I didn't quite understand, but I have a better understanding of now, was when Gareth Bale was like, what's he going to do? Is he going to stay here? Is he going to go to Real Madrid? Like probably the contract may have been decided during that time, and they're like, you can't speak to him at all. He walked by, because we couldn't even connect him to the team, and
really?
it was.
I must have just left. I was there.
Was that 2013?
Because I left just before Gareth.
Okay, so it was great though. I mean, the whole organization. That's why. I mean, we're going tonight. We're going to go see. They're having us back over there to go see them and United. The show wouldn't exist without Tottenham saying, "Yeah, we will be the club that lets you do these commercials." And that was all decided well before us. Before I was on board. And then we, I don't know if you're aware, Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent on the show,
He's
big Tottenham,
brilliant,
brilliant, great writer too, just a kind soul too. His father is a lifelong, Tottenham supporter, and so Brett's inherited that and is the sole one
I heard
amongst
he
us.
made the transfer. He went to Dave. You might know more about this. He went to LA, like he had success here, and then he is a writer. Might have read this wrong, but took a risk. Same way as a player, you might go to another team and try chance it. Not chance it. Do you know what I mean? Look for opportunity.
Yeah.
And went to LA and it's like exploded.
Yeah,
because of this.
The story, as far as I know, and it's his to tell, but I have a pretty good understanding of it, having been involved. Is we hired him for the show. He had worked with Bill Lawrence before on the show, and Bill was like, I think you like this guy, and we needed Brits, we needed women, we wanted people that knew the sport, people that didn't know the sport, didn't care about the sport. We wanted all these different, people. We had like maybe 9-10 people that, those first couple seasons in the writer's room. So I meet Brett on Zoom, and these things are supposed to be like 30 minutes, and we chatted for like 2 hours and just hit it off. And it was like probably 1 a.m. here. I was in New York at the time. Then he comes out and he's just wonderful. And he's great ideas as a writer. And then he threw his hat in the ring. He took a chance of the chance that I know of is him putting himself on tape to audition for the show. And he that's what it is.
That's a strange situation, isn't it? Because you've had to. Because that's a ballsy thing to do,
Absolutely.
and that's easy to draw criticism. And I think so many people in their jobs, it's like you sort of know you want to do maybe this thing out there, but you sort of restrain yourself because you don't want to risk. I don't know.
You don't believe in it,
negativity or don't.
That's when there's got to be a certain amount of bravery or gumption or whatever you want to call it, like confidence in your ability to give this a shot. And I think that's. I mean, there's no. I mean, all sorts of businesses award that, but show business is certainly one of the biggest one. You know, it's like when people finance their own movies. They, you know, Rocky. You know, Stallone is not getting any parts. So what does he do? He writes Rocky. I want to play. You can't have it unless I play it. You know, like even Matt Damon and Ben Affleck with Good Will Hunting. They were tired.
But I just like everyone listening to this right now, and a lot of people be on their way to work or you know what, at home
on the toilet.
Should we just basically go like just shoot? Well, maybe not. Shoot your shot.
Yeah,
shoot your shot. That's what I'm saying. Unless you're on the toilet.
Unless you're on the toilet. Yeah, then just shit it. Shit your shot. Shit your shit. Shoot your shot. Shit your shit. Yeah.
With Brett as well, coming from a Tottenham family, were you taking the piss to make him a Champions League winner with Chelsea written into the script?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah. I mean, at that point, you know, the character was already written, but we've definitely had some fun at his expense. You know, being a devout, lifelong Tottenham supporter. Yeah,
a bit like Crouchy. We just broke down Crouchy's kind of fandom. Chelsea first. Then you got a bit of stick off the fans, and now we don't really know who you exactly.
I don't know where I am. You know, it's like obviously like over here, you don't change your teams. The allegiance is your allegiance forever for life. You know, but I played for all Chelsea's rivals. I was a Chelsea fan as a kid. Got absolutely abused there quite a lot. Yeah. By playing for their rivals, which I get. Yep. So yeah, I just, you know, having sat amongst them and then watching people, you know, want to kill me.
It is.
I just didn't feel it anymore. You know, I didn't really feel it anymore. So then I don't know where I am anymore. Which is, you know, maybe I should just go like, I don't know, like Kansas.
Yeah.
What?
Chiefs? Go for the Chiefs. Chiefs. Go for the Chiefs. Yeah, we have the NFL draft in Kansas City today. Yeah. Today's a great day to be a Chiefs fan. I played in
Kansas. It's not the
Sporting KC?
The old
the Wiz.
Was the
KC the
Live
Wiz?
Strong? No, it wasn't Live Strong.
No,
well, it wasn't. Well, I'm in the wrong state there.
That's right. That's right. Might have been Missouri.
Who was that? What's his name? Lance Armstrong had a stadium somewhere.
Oh, not in Kansas.
An MLS stadium.
Yeah, I don't think it's in
But
Kansas.
I definitely played in Kansas.
Yeah, no, it's a they've got a great team there. Sporting KC and
they were
KC
good.
Current.
They were very good.
Yeah,
No, out in Kansas. It was good. It was
nice.
a good night as well.
You had no interest in the barbecue though. We've established.
No, the barbecue wasn't for me.
What level of night was it? Interest to Kansas. It wasn't Mickey Rourke in
No,
Vegas, was it?
That was in Miami. Yeah, I had a run in with Mickey Rourke. Yeah, it was just after I did the robot with England.
Yes,
and that was sort of like put me on the map.
Yep,
on a big scale. So for some reason, I can't really explain that to you. But
I get it. A well done robot does make you iconic. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Does it actually?
I think so. I think
were you aware of the robot? You're familiar with the robot?
I'm totally aware of the robot.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, yeah, something. Yeah.
Well, like Mickey Rourke was. I was in Miami, and I've told this story on the pod, but I'm telling it for you. And I was in a nightclub in Miami, and I walked past Mickey Rourke, and he said, "Hey," and I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're a robot boy." I went, "Oh, you're Mickey Rourke, great." And then we just hit it off. I actually had 2 nights out with him. It was good, yeah. And that was all down to the robot.
Do you have surprise fans like with Ted Lasso? Has there been people who've come up to you that maybe didn't before, or like has surprised you? We had Prince William on this podcast.
No kidding.
He was a surprise.
We went to the Palace. We went to Kensington Palace.
Nice. Just surprising fans of, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, Brett just got a signed photograph from Julie Andrews, the one and only Julie Andrews, because we name checked her on I forget which
Music.
Yeah, that one, Mary Poppins, the one and only. Yeah, that's the one. Absolutely.
That's a big shout.
It really is.
That's a random one, Jason.
Hey, we'll take it. But that's huge. She's iconic. But I got like a lovely letter from Frank Oz, who did the voices for Yoda and Miss Piggy. He's an incredible director as well. Like just a brilliant comic mind. I remember hearing from my manager that Brad Pitt was a fan. I mean, even I saw Robert Downey Jr. at last week at this like event thing that we were both at, and he comes up to me, and I've met him a couple of times, and he's just what you want him to be. He's just out, just super outgoing and charming as all hell. And he goes, "Can you believe that you are the spokesperson for our country?" He goes, "I love it," and just gave a big hug. And he said how much he loves the show, and yeah, I mean it's been nuts. I remember Patrick Stewart coming up to us at the Emmys and really pushing to be I used to play football. I can't do an impression of him.
He was trying to get a role.
Yes,
wow,
100%.
Can you imagine Patrick Stewart in the team?
And we
just be a scout or something. You know what I mean?
I know, but no, we had.
He could have been Kalina, the ref. He could have been. Think about it, bold. Like would have been great.
We had ideas for him, and the timing just didn't work out. But yeah, It's nuts, and because you kind of forget when you're making these things that people watch because you're just trying to like do it. You're just doing it. You know, you're just like, and it is almost like an athletic season, especially when you're charged with as much responsibility as I was fortunate to have, where it's just you're seeing it through from soup to nuts, and you're kind of like, oh right, people see this, people are watching this thing, and you know, you feel. Yeah, I remember when we saw Alex Morgan, you know, one of our great female players for the U.S. doing the like Jamie Tart like celebration of like, I want the ball, give me the ball, like doing it as a goal celebration. We're just like, are you kidding me?
It's in real life, isn't it? The two combine. When you say Dave, like you see, Dave analyses so many football. Statman Dave.
Yeah, he's got left brain over here. Yep,
analyses so many. You'd love him, Jason. Like, he's just the numbers
starting
guys. Like
just whenever I want to, whenever I give over to it, right?
Just whenever you need it.
I want to jump in and just for the next season, Peter Crouch, Richmond, right? This guy, over 100 Premier League goals, most goals with his head in Premier League history.
And with the head.
He's got more assists than Paul Scholes, Eden Hazard, Mesut Ozil, and Juan Mata. I can see a partnership with Jamie Tart up front. Peter Crouch and Tart. Big man, little man combo.
Yeah, I've played with those egos before as well. You know what I mean?
You know how to
I'll
snap
keep him
in
in
place.
check. Don't worry about that.
I love it. You guys would look like a salt shaker and a pepper grinder. It'd be perfect.
It'd be a large combination.
Whilst we're casting, Jason, it's been fascinating listening to you today. There's something really digging in my head. I was like, when you hear you up close, I was like, what does that voice remind me of? You sound like the guy from EA Sports.
Oh, really?
In the game.
Oh, that's not bad. I had to do it as Ted Lasso. I've probably on my phone. I probably have like me because when we did the commercials for the game, they wanted me. Hey, EA Sports. It's in the. Oh, I'm in the game. You know, it was like doing it like that. That's me doing it as Ted. The other guy, yeah, maybe I could probably EA Sports. It's in the game. It's in somewhere in there, right?
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Maybe I've heard it a couple times.
It's not bad.
You know.
But you know what? I've got a shirt. So if you did want to sign me, we could unveil it now. If you want.
Look at that.
One way to sign for a club, isn't it? Unsurprisingly, we've had a lot of messages from people.
Was this live?
No, it's not live. It's definitely live.
But you know, that's the wonderful thing about this podcast. It's nice that we can discuss with all our guests some of the stuff that we deal with on a weekly basis. I think it'd be great to get Jason's input on that as well, if you're up for it.
Yeah, let's do it, please.
Should we do it? Crouchy, do you want to go for the first message?
Yep.
Hello, boss. Quick one for you. Currently third in Crouchy's FPL league. Wonder if there's anything on offer for winning it. Ideally, I'd like a 50 grand slide. Just for a bit of context, I wanted a slide for my garden.
Like a slide that you slide down.
Into a swimming pool.
Oh, yeah, of course. Beautiful.
And I saw it online, which was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I got the people around to sort of measure up for it. And then there was a team of like 10 people and an architect.
Yeah.
And I was looking for like one off Amazon or something, you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, this architect turned up, and the slide was phenomenal.
Yeah, I bet. Well, you did get it.
I was no, I didn't get it because my wife said to me, "Have you asked like how much this is costing?"
Yeah.
And they wanted 50 grand for a slide, but it was a piece of art. Like it was.
Was it?
It was incredible, and it was made of state like you know, it was steel enforced.
Yeah,
that's why
which
he's asking.
You're going to want.
That's what you'd like.
Yeah, because you're not going to be sober a lot of times when you're going down a slide, so you want to make sure it's steel enforced, right?
Yeah, it's steel enforced. No one can nick it. You know what I mean?
Did it come from like the top floor of your house?
Was it like even that big? No, it was just. It was like art. It was a piece of art. You know what I mean? Like, and I just wanted to slide.
They keep telling you it's a piece of art. It's a fucking slide.
Yeah. If you'd have seen this thing, you'd have inquired. Let me tell you that. I can't have the 50 grand slide because I live in a flat. That's not realistic for me. So as a compromise, can you sort me Crouchfest tickets? In return, I'll dress however you like. In all seriousness, I love the pod, doing a great job. Keep it up.
Okay, cool. Well, there's no Crouchfest announced at the moment. We have no one on the lineup. We don't have a venue.
No.
When we have...
But you got one person that's ready to dress up any way you want.
Ready to go.
What should they go as, Jason?
I mean, it seems like they should dress up as the slide. You know what I mean?
That's a good
Did you
shout.
still have the designs, like
That's
a
a good
PDF
shout.
of that, and you just send that to them and let them figure it out? You don't tell them how to do it. You just go, hey, this is the look.
It's a slide.
Dress up as this slide.
It's genius.
And then depending on how big it is, you let shit go down at the bring him up center stage, you know, and like
It's a good shout.
It's a great shout.
and just see how he interprets it.
Let me just do this one, Chris. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know Orlando Bloom personally or not?
I have.
Have
don't
you come
think I've
across
ever
him?
met Orlando Bloom. No.
Well, Chris is really good pals with him.
Yep.
I'm not.
He's really good pals with him.
Yeah,
So there's a message here that says, "Hi guys, I've got an Orlando Bloom story. I went to Ellie Goulding and Casper the Ghost's wedding."
I believe Casper is her husband's name, or I'm not
That
sure.
makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's their
I'm
wedding.
not totally familiar
his
with the
name's
relationships
Casper.
of Ellie Goulding. But
Okay. And Katy Perry was there. Your friend Katy Perry was there. He got on a bus, head out to reception. Once we were there in the gardens, he started doing a press-up competition with another bellend he's wrote. I didn't want to say that. But
Yep.
no, but what this is because I saw Orlando Bloom in a pub in Windsor on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a bizarre situation. I was a bit pissed. And
No.
there was an Irish band. There was an Irish on St. Patrick's Day. There was an Irish band, and I looked up. I was like, I could swear that's Orlando Bloom singing an Irish sort of ditty. It was like an old Irish, like he'd returned from a long war or something.
Yep.
It was regaling everyone. It was quite bizarre. Turned out to be Orlando Bloom.
Ta-da.
He was friends with the Irish band or something, and happened to be in there.
that's how Orlando Bloom sort of became a friend of the pod, really.
Good to hear he was doing push-ups at the wedding.
Yeah,
And any other sightings of Orlando Bloom, let us know.
I would. I wish I had one. I have
Have you
nothing.
not got?
No, never. I don't think I've. I don't. He never hosted SNL when I was there. I mean, I don't even really know if he exists. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like
Legolas type vibes.
Yeah, like
Lord of the Rings. don't
magical
really
in a way.
exist.
Yeah.
Bit of a mad one.
I've not met him either.
Yeah,
Jason.
see?
No.
So there you go.
All right, message from Liam says, "Hi, Pancake." Another nickname for me, Jason. Don't worry.
Which one do you feel the most connected to?
Do you know what? I let it wash over me.
Yeah. So I can hear him now. Yeah, I feel you.
I feel partly responsible. And I feel like I should apologise.
Not now.
Not now, not now. I just can't be asked.
Yeah, wait till he.
A little bit long this
Do it
one,
in
but I
his
think
wake.
it's a good dilemma. I've just had my first child with my wife, Rosie. Congratulations, Liam.
That's the best place to do it.
Little Lola was a miracle IVF baby, so we're over the moon. Congratulations, Liam.
Yes.
It's only when listening to the last pod on favourite teams that it dawned on me I have a massive problem ahead. Rosie, who was a Scottish cougar I met on the Thames some 9 years ago now.
Calling his wife a Scottish cougar.
Yeah.
She supports Celtic and has a massive family up in Scotland who are also mad for the club. Having been to an old firm at Derby and experiencing it sat just above the Green Army band, I have a fond place in my heart for them too. My problem is, and Jason, it'd be good to get your input on this.
Yeah.
Should my daughter grow up supporting Arsenal, as I hope and pray she will, or can she legitimately support Celtic as they are in a different league? Love the pod, lads. Keep it up. Also, send some prayers for my dog Bella, who has recently slipped a disc and paralysed her back legs. I'm hoping she performs the ultimate Chumbawamba. Fuck off, Carl. Love, Liam.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But I think I think the main thing is he okay? Is his daughter okay to support Celtic and Arsenal, or
Because two different leagues.
Is it two different? How far? Literally,
Well, it'd be like
they would never
Arsenal
play.
Scottish
and
League?
Scotland.
Yeah, so
And,
I
it's
think so, right? Yeah.
I think you could probably get away with that. We were talking about this on a previous podcast. Like, if you have a real allegiance to a team, like, say you're a Manchester United fan, like, and then your daughter meets someone who is a Manchester City fan or a Liverpool fan,
Or just Jack Grealish.
Do you stick with the dad, or do you stick?
Yeah.
Do you stick with the dad, or do you stick with the?
It's something we haven't really considered.
boyfriend or
We've both
husband?
got daughters, and we haven't really considered sort of they could potentially just leave you and go for another team.
I know. I don't think you can hold on to these children too tightly. Otherwise, they'll sense it, and it'll just be. I mean,
Let them be
Romeo
free.
and Juliet. Yeah, let them do their thing, and just make sure they don't drink poison.
Yeah, good advice.
It's
good
good
advice.
It's really good advice.
Shall I throw a question in
Yeah,
from
man.
Mitchell?
Yeah, let's hear what Mitchell's
Yeah.
got to say.
Question for you, Jason.
Do you know this Mitchell, or is this someone that wrote in?
Yeah, I've met him before.
Yeah.
Alex, apparently, his first name is referred to as Mitchell. Maybe that's a nickname. But he was asking, out of me, Crouchy, and Chris, what characters would we be in Ted Lasso
Oh gosh,
from the current cast?
From the current cast. Okay, I mean probably Coach Beard. right? You got the beard. You got you got the stats. You operate from the left brain. Let's see. I mean, probably Keely.
Yeah,
he'd probably be Keely.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. I'll take that.
No, I mean that's a compliment.
Well, she looks great.
She looks great. She's got a great energy about her, great spirit. You root for her just to do anything. Like leave the house, go back home. You root for both.
Yeah.
And then I would say maybe, golly,
I think you've got a few choices with me. Actually,
Higgins, maybe.
Higgins.
I think
he's a great father.
That's a bit of shit house.
He's a great father. Can play the hell out of a bass.
I generally.
I am a great father.
So there you go.
Does he like barbecues?
Yeah, he does. He looks great in an apron. You know.
Good.
Yeah. Or of course, Sam Obisanya.
Oh, that's
okay.
Because of your clear integrity.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. I knew we'd go on.
Yeah, see.
Parched.
Can you explain parched just very quickly to Jason when you're parched? Because I'd love to see this feature at some point in something.
Parched?
Parched is it was originally one of the players I played with. So say you're the manager, right? Yep. And someone you've just been installed you just come into a new team.
Yep.
You're the boss, and everyone wants to play, right?
Yep.
So we do preseason training. It's really incredibly hot. Everyone goes, go and have a drink, lads. Go and have a drink. We go and have a drink, and there's one player stands next to the manager, right, the whole time and just chats about various stuff. So he hasn't had a drink now for we realised he hadn't had a drink. I don't think for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because he's chatting to the manager. Anyone who is in any walk of life, around the boss a little bit too much, up their arse a bit. Yeah. We would call parched.
Yeah. That's great.
Jason, who was parched on Ted Lasso?
Oh boy.
On the set, there must be a few. If you're
you would
Ted
have got
Lasso,
an absolute parch in there.
There must have been a load.
I mean, everyone, because I would change the scripts, and like they would want to, and I also provide context, but not in too much of it. I mean, dare I say, ass kissy?
Yeah, we're saying derogatory in a derogatory way, really. But.
Yeah. No, see, we didn't really have it. Anybody doing it was probably doing it out of a place of survival versus advancement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We've introduced parching now to the acting world.
Yeah.
It will swoop through.
Yeah, it exists in every world.
But listen, if you're in charge of scripts, there's going to be a lot of parching.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Without maybe no, they just like me.
No.
What do you mean? They like me, guys.
You'll recognise it now. At some point, you'll see him and you'll go,
this fella's parching me.
You're parched.
I'm going to send you a fucking podcast because I know exactly what you're doing.
Take a drink of water.
Exactly. Hit the fountain. Hit the bubbler.
Here's a message from Lewis. We may have tweeted a little rumour that we might be meeting you. Just to get see you nibbled, send a couple of questions, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Lewis message saying, fair play, lads, pulling through again. Yep, he's here. Jason's here. Yeah. I want to know if Zlatan was consulted before essentially being a character, or if he's even aware it exists.
He did know the show. He was like, hey, maybe you coach me. You think you could coach me someday? And I was like, oh, you don't have any idea. You have no idea. And it was all done from love. I mean, that's part of the reason we wrote the character the way we wrote the character. Is just kind of like this otherworldly thing, and it is. It's like we're mapping like the notion of like what if. Bruce Willis signed on to your student film. It's like that changes the vibe. He's a giant star. He's someone that you want to like you. He's someone that you want to be liked by, and he's going to change the dressing room. And
did you ever play against him?
Zlatan?
Yeah,
a few times. Yeah.
And
good. We won once in AC Milan away. He was playing that day. We had good run-ins with him. What a player! And say, the energy. Like when someone, it's nothing better than someone who shoots their mouth off, thinks they're amazing, and then backs it up.
It's incredible.
And you put yourself under so much pressure.
Yeah,
but if you can deliver. There's something special about it.
It's iconic. It's like being a Western. It's like being John Wayne or something if you can do that. Because you have everybody going against you, and you're just like
everyone wants you to fail.
100%.
But you keep producing.
It's nuts.
That is an amazing.
And we we would watch so many interviews. I mean, just watching his, greatest goals is just, you're like, what? How is this possible?
Players.
Really.
I love that you watched that with your son. Is that what you were saying? Like, you just load up 100 best goals.
No, he, we got to meet the OG Ronaldo at a I think it was a Tottenham match last season, and he didn't know who he was yet. And I didn't have an in with him because I didn't expect him to watch the show. But at some point, him and his friends, they were speaking Portuguese. And they're talking about '80s NBA. I hear Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing. I go. Hey, I'm sorry, fellas. What are you guys talking? It was like at half, and we're talking about. I go. Can I chime in? And I just, I was like, it was my in there, and he was lovely, and all his friends were lovely, and then
the original Ronaldo.
The original Ronaldo,
wow.
I was sitting up
Crouchy,
in the
hero,
I mean, for real,
yeah.
Yes.
He's my main man.
Yeah. That was a joy to then. That was again when we were living here, and before Otis was like just going down the YouTube wormhole of like looking up, legends and classic players, and trying to absorb as much of the sport as possible. And he brought it up this morning. He goes, I still can't believe that I was I was right there with, Ronaldo, and I didn't know. I go, I know, and I'm sorry that I didn't get a photo.
Yeah. Shit, you've got the coolest son.
With him.
You know what? Yeah. Because you're educating him in the old school as well.
Yeah.
Like,
it's good.
I think that's what you do, Crouchy, isn't it?
Got to.
Yeah.
I think it's important, yeah. And to even just see that, like, I think some people call it like the triangle of influence, to see, you find out the player that you love now, and then you go to the players that they loved, and admired and emulated. Then you go down, you keep going down. You can do it with music, you do it with actors, comedy. Like, it's a great way to, like, sort of get to, like, the base level of, like, and it always comes back to the legends. It always comes back to, like, some man or woman that just was a force of nature and saw something ahead of them that they didn't know what they were doing. They just had to do it. And we're lucky to be on the other side of everything they've done. So yeah, that dude was great. He was great. You've met him and all that. You've kicked with him. Yeah.
I met him once, and I thought, I'm a footballer, you're a footballer. I thought, I'll go over, it'd be great. I went over and he had no interest.
That's how we got Statman. And it hurts us.
And in all honesty, I quite liked it. I was like, you're my absolute idol. I don't even want you to know me. You're too far.
It would have been wrong for him to part you.
If he'd have known me, I'd have thought less of him.
Yeah.
You probably walked away crouching in Portuguese and said, "Oh, that's the robot fella."
Yeah, it's robot boy. There's robot boy.
I pretended I couldn't speak English.
One player you got to check out, Gabriel Batistuta. What a player! Again, he's probably the top of my tree of strikers.
I don't know how to spell that.
Argentine, top beat.
He's up there.
Yeah, watch it there, Jace. Have a look at Troy Deeney. And we should say
Troy Deeney's another one.
Yeah, he like Otis will go nuts and all here.
Just write him down. Troy Deeney. We do need to say goodbye to Jason, sadly. And
did you want to ask that though?
So one thing, like with meeting Haaland.
Yeah.
Was there any similarities between Zlatan Ibrahimovic and the original Ronaldo in terms of their personality and in terms of their traits?
I mean, and maybe it's just the different in age, because obviously, that would have been three different, sort of tiers, generations almost. Yeah. I mean, Haaland is like a puppy dog. He came out and he was just, and they just won, and they're on the great streak. So, he was more like had a energy to him that, like we were joking about earlier, that seemed like he was ready to run home. Zlatan was chill. I mean, the place when you don't. Everybody says, football isn't big in the States. You wouldn't know it by the way that place went nuts when they announced him. I mean, it was something else. It was as big as, like, Tony Soprano was there or something like that. It was something. And yet more reserved, so that felt very different. And then Ronaldo was he's like a statesman, he was chilled, and he wore shorts, if I remember correctly, shorts and a t-shirt. Zlatan had, like, probably a sweater that costs much of a slide would cost, a real nice slide, a work of art.
Okay, no, it's
kind of
unbelievable
slide,
slides, man.
You get it.
Reinforced steel, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a proper thing.
Reinforced steel is reinforced by its.
One, it's safe.
Jason, it's art. You can't question it. It's art.
No one's going to steal it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It looks fantastic.
No,
I was just all the things I was saying to my wife. Yeah. She wasn't buying it. No, we didn't go for it in the end.
She's not wrong.
Guys, the best manager in the world, Ted Lasso himself.
For now.
Jason, thanks for coming on, mate.
Absolutely.
This
is so great.
Really
I
enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me.
Sensational.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all we got for you. If you guys,
It's always a funny one to wrap up for us, but we always say the same thing. We'll be back stronger. Chumbawamba. Chumbawamba, Jason.
Back stronger.
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.